Okay, so this is just, I'm just going to kind of walk through kind of the introduction to the simulation so you can see, just because I feel like the directions are hard to really explain. But once you get into actual lab part, it goes really quick. You're only doing three little things, and then you're just kind of plugging in your calculations into the document. Okay, so it's not really going to take you too long. The beginning part of the simulation, kind of listening to the guy talk, kind of takes the longest. So when you click on this link here in the procedure, right? So number one says to click on this link. You may see a little notification about your Flash player. So just click that. It says like upgrade your Flash player, but it doesn't really do anything. It just kind of opens it up. Like I said, as long as you're using Chrome has Flash built in, so it shouldn't be an issue using this lab. But if it is, let me know. And I do have kind of a walkthrough that I can post. So once you do that, it'll open up to this page, and you're just going to click this top calorimetry button.
Do you know how many?
I'm going to pause him. Basically stop him. So up here in the top, you have some little controls for the audio. So I think it's helpful to listen to him, but for now I'm pausing him just so you can hear me. But basically it kind of just introduces the simulation and kind of, again, explains how in calorimetry what we're doing is we're just looking
Explore
at
the lab to learn
how we can look at different food items, right? And we can actually measure how much energy they contain, how many calories they contain by burning that food and measuring the temperature change in the water, and how that energy, while it's burning, how that energy actually leaves the food and travels to the water. Okay. So I think now we're at step 2. Okay, it'll kind of prompt you to look at all these different things around the lab, and you can see as I kind of highlight over them, they light up. I can do the same thing in the checklist. As I kind of touch the name, it lights up. As I click them, okay, I can't click on the word. I actually need to click on the actual item. Okay, and then it'll bring up again a little blurb box, or you can just listen to him talk, okay, through each item. Once you get through each item, okay, you'll see the little check mark show up. All right, so that's kind of just explained what all of our lab items are. And then you're going to click over here on procedure. So this is step 3, this little box up here. You're going to click
select
to procedure. And now you're going to follow the directions. So the directions want you to click 5 food samples. I'm just going to drag a few over. You can pick whatever you want to pick. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so after I've got my 5 samples, then I'm going to, it kind of, again, gives you he'll tell you the instructions, or you can read here, but it says to open up the lab notebook. This is where it gets a little tedious because of the way the simulation works. When it says open your lab notebook, you have to actually do that and type in it. Otherwise, it won't let you go to the next step. But it doesn't take very long. And actually, it'll do some of your calculations for you here in just a minute. So it'll save you a little time when you're adding into your actual document. Like over here on the left that you're filling in, it'll do some calculations for you in the lab manual on this screen. So you're doing the same thing that you're typing in the lab manual, so you're just going to type it twice. So it wants you to predict which ones you think have the fewest number of calories to the greatest. So like, for example, I think, let's say broccoli. I can spell it right. Broccoli. I don't even remember what else I picked. I'll have to make this a little bigger because I think my head's in the way. Bread. Let's say tortilla, margarine, and like I said, I can't even see what I picked. Oh, cheese. All right. So my head is in the way. Let's say cheese. Okay, so I'm just making a prediction. Once I do that, I can just click X, and you'll notice this little arrow up here is now highlighted, so I can go to the next step. So again, in your document, you're just typing in, what do you think has the highest calorie? What do you think has the lowest? Just predict. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So now I can click to my next step. And then this is where you're going to kind of shorten it down. We're not going to do everything they say. We're just going to do 3 different foods instead of 5. So like, let's say I want to do broccoli. I'm going to drag a piece to my little crucible here, right? I'm going to measure, and then again, I'm going to have to type in my lab notebook, and I'm going to have to type on the actual document that you're going to turn in page. So I'm just going to record 16.07 is my initial mass. Okay, so I did that. And again, now I've got my little arrow open. Okay, and I'm going to take my crucible, put it in my calorimeter. It's going to fill up with water. There goes my thermometer so I can measure. Okay, and I need to measure my beginning temperature. So again, I'm going to open my lab notebook. My initial water temperature is 20, so I'm going to record that in my lab notebook. I'm also going to record it over here on my on your actual document that you're going to turn in. Okay. Once I do that, I can again hit my next arrow, and all your instructions. I'm going to ignite my flame, burn the food. Any calories or any energy that's contained in that food is going to be transferred to the water. And notice now my temperature is increased. So I'm going to go over here and say my final temperature is 20.6. And then now see it's done some calculations for me. So I can go ahead and fill that in my change in water temperature on my document, the 0.6. Okay, so I can actually go over here and fill that in my document here. Okay, so you're kind of having to type in both. That's the tedious part at the beginning. But again, it doesn't take that long. Okay, so once I've done that, now I'm going to go to my next step.
The crucible.
Okay, and now I'm done with my crucible. I'm going to mass it again. I get 15.01. So that's my final mass, which makes sense, right? That some of the mass went away. And then again, it's going to do my calculation. So my change in mass, I can type in as 1.06. Okay, and so now I'm done with my broccoli. Okay, so now I'm going to click the arrow to the next step, and now it's ready for my next piece of food. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, type in my lab notebook, type in my document. Okay, and again, if you just want to do your change in temperatures and your change in mass, that's fine if that saves you some time. I don't mind that. And then once you get through these 3, I think it's step 9, then you're done. Okay, we're done with the simulation, so you can close it out. So let me just make this bigger here. Okay, so once we get our these 3 items of food, whatever you want to do, like this was broccoli. Let me type that in. So whichever 3 you want to do, you're not going to do all 5. Now we're going to come down here, okay, and we're going to plug in our numbers. So like for my broccoli, okay, I'm going to plug in my numbers, okay, for my amount of energy released, okay, like my Q. Okay, so what is my mass? Well, right here, it tells me my mass is 600 grams. So that's going to be 600. Okay, my C, specific heat, tells me it's 4.184. And then my change in temperature, right, I'm going to actually get from my chart. So that's right here, 0.6. Not a whole lot, but that's okay. 0.6. Okay, so now when I plug that in my calculator, I get my answer by just multiplying my actual 1506.24 joules. Okay, so that's my heat that's released. All right, so you would do that for 2 and 3 also, right? I'm just plugging in the formula. So the first two things, the 600 and the 4.184, those are going to stay the same. So really the only thing that you're having to change in your formula is your change temperature. Okay. So now we're going to kind of come down here. We're going to figure out how many calories are in. Does this mean like how many calories is that actually? Like joules doesn't really mean anything to us, but we can see how many calories. So all I'm going to do is you're going to plug in like my heat in joules, right? This is where I'm going to type in the 150624. Okay, and so in order to get calories, I can say 1506.24. I'm going to multiply across the top, so times 1, divide by the bottom, divided by 4.184, divided by 1,000. Okay, and I end up with, I'll just put it down here in my broccoli. Apparently I'm not spelling. Oh, broccoli has 2 C's. Surprise. So, not a speller. I just plugged in my equation here. Okay, and then I have my food calories. And then again, my number of grams of food, back up here to my chart, 1.06, right? In my yellow column. So this is 1.6. And then in order to get my calories per gram, I'm just going to do the 0.36 divided by 1.06. 1.06. Okay. 0.339. Basically 0.34 we'll go with. Okay. And so now, once you get these, your blue values here, okay, these calories per gram, you can compare them to your predictions. Okay, so you're going to go back up to the top and compare them to your predictions, and you can see, oh, well, which one actually had the most calories or the most energy versus which one has the the least amount of energy. Like for example, broccoli, like a lot of the green vegetables, like especially crunchy ones, broccoli and celery, all those that have a lot of cellulose in them. It actually they obviously 0.34. That's not a whole lot of calories, right, per gram. That's why they say if you're on a diet, if you're trying to watch your calorie intake, if you're eating those like green crunchy vegetables like broccoli and celery, you're actually it takes more energy to digest them than the actual energy that they provide for you. That's why you're able to eat more of them, like more calories wise, or eat a lot of it, but it's not really bad for you because it takes more energy from your body to digest than they actually provide. Nothing gets stored as fat. So once you get down there, you're just comparing them to your predictions, and then you're just uploading it to Google Classroom. Okay. Hopefully that helps at least walk through the one example, and you can do one whole thing at a time if you want, or you can just do each section at a time, however you want to do it. But if you have any questions or if the simulation's not working, please email me as soon as you can, and I can kind of try to walk you through some of it with a video.